love that song, don't you? You guys love it. You love being in on all the fun. Well, you know who you have to thank for that song? You know who allows you to sing it? This man right here, Chris Jericho. Because I'm telling you right now, if it was up to me, there'd be no do this. There'd be no sing-along. There'd be no nothing. And that's why Chris Jericho is a better man than me. And that is also why this man deserves to be praised. That is why this man deserves to be idolized. Not only for his contributions in this industry, but for his contributions as a human being. So without any further ado, I give to you the influencer, the big one, Chris Jericho.
You're listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of TalkAEW.net. I'm your co-host, Mariko McDonald, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
Hello, WrestleManiacs.
And of course, the editor-in-chief of TalkAEW.net, the ravishing Ricky D.
Hey, yo, say hello to the bad guy.
Hey.
Or goodbye to the bad guy, as the case may be.
What a sad week. I was a huge fan of Razor Ramon and later Scott Hall. Huge fan. So I've been playing my WWE 2K 2022, which we'll kind of talk about after the break in the main event. But one of the characters I've been playing with the most is Razor Ramon. It's going to be a crazy busy show, I think. But the main event's going to be really fun.
Yes, looking forward to the main event where we talk about wrestling video games. We've had some more sneak peeks at the upcoming AEW video game. We also just had the release of WWE 2K22, and we're gonna discuss what were some of the great video games of wrestling. What do we want to see out of this AEW wrestling game? But first, I believe it is time for Ricky's question block.
All right, so I just got a few things I need to address here. Some questions coming in, some questions I have, some questions I'm sure you have. First of all, did anyone listen to the edited version of this podcast last week? Because whoever edited the show did such an incredible job. Amazing. We should give a round of applause.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, Aaron.
Man.
Thank you.
Inside joke. So Aaron's sort of like helping with editing duties, which is really great for me. So yeah, this week I'll be editing the show. So if there's any mistakes, email me. But in all seriousness, I just wanted to first talk about the TNT Championship, Wardlow. So, I mean, you know, we talked about this last week. We talked about what matches should be on pay-per-view events. How they do the booking on their actual television shows, especially when it comes to big matches. In this case, the TNT Championship, which is the actual title of AEW Dynamite, even though it's still called the TNT Championship, which is weird. I'm still confused about this. So this is like a two-part question. What is going on with the actual name of the belt? What is going on with the two belts? And do you think they made a mistake in rushing to put this match right away this week? Because we already had a main event, should they have waited till the following week so it could actually close off the show, considering it was like Wardlow's first time wrestling for the championship?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they got to get that story moving, right?
Yeah.
I still think
Because
like
it's so story-based, it had to be on TV.
Yeah. I mean, we are building to the culmination of the Wardlow story. All of this is going to build up into like Double or Nothing, right?
Yeah, well, it's MJF versus Wardlow. CM Punk's taking a break. I think he's filming heels. Plus, he needs a break physically.
Yeah.
I mean, it was at the top of the hour, so it was at the 9 o'clock spot. So it's not like they shoved it. Like, remember last week I was complaining because the world title happened at around 10:15, 10:20, and that was weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like the world title. They did put it at the 9 o'clock spot. But I am still confused about the belts.
Why there's 2 belts?
Yeah, they really need to stop. I mean, it was hilarious watching Dan Lambert walk in wearing one, but like it was an interim. It's not like you're 2 different titles you're unifying. Like just
and
there's one title. There's one belt.
Mm-hmm.
One title, one belt.
Yeah, it's unified. It's been unified already, yet they're still,
like I understand why Sammy wanted to wear the 2 belts because he was in the 2 hellacious matches, but like Scorpio didn't get 2 belts. Scorpio gets 1 belt.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta like nip that in the bud, I guess, because like it makes no
either
sense.
Like have a redesigned joke belt that you can sell for lots of money to tide it over until like we get back to like 1 belt, but like stop the 2 belts. It's dumb.
The TNT Championship, we've had 4 versions so far. We've had one made for Cody, one made for Brody, one for Sammy, and one for Miro.
Yeah.
They're not going to make one for Scorpio Sky.
I think it'd be funny if they did.
Tony Khan has a lot of money to waste. If he's not going to have the championship for like long, I don't see it happening. But what could happen is Wardlow can win finally, or someone, and that person becomes sort of like the TNT Championship for like a good portion of the year, and they get their own belt. That could happen. But it is weird, and you're right, Mariko. This is what I was trying to explain to people on online. Sammy was a part of the big last match with the belt on TNT, and he was involved in the first big TNT Championship on TBS. So at this point, they should just name it the TV title, and that's all. And then just get rid of the second belt, retire it.
Yeah, just let Sammy take it home like they do. But yeah, anyways.
I mean, the WCW days, they had the TV title. Like Bret the Hitman Hart, I remember he won it 5 times.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing I think we need to quickly talk about is the first match with the Hardy Boys versus Private Party. It was a dream match for Private Party. I mean, I'll let you guys start. What did you think of Matt and Jeff back in the ring?
It's nice seeing them together. Jeff looks a little winded in a couple of spots. I mean,
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we knew it. We're not getting them in their prime.
We're
knew
not.
That. It was a fun match. It was fun to see them together. I don't know what to say beyond that. Like, I mean, this seems like kind of like a swan song. They get to work together, finish their careers together.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
I do think Aaron's right. I think Jeff has an injury. Because if you've seen him wrestle on WWE like last year or even like recently before he left, he was amazing still.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when he did the senton bomb 2 weeks ago, when he made his like first appearance on AEW, he was holding his back. So
okay.
And did you notice that in this match he went for the senton but changed his mind and decided to just go for like a splash?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he hurt his back. And I mean, yeah, we know we're not going to get them in the prime, but I think Jeff might be slightly injured. Also, it's worth noting that he was on the podcast, the Hardy podcast, and he basically said, he explained why he walked away from the house show like a while back, and everyone thought he was on drugs, and there's these rumors going around, and he just like, it was a decision he made on the fly because he felt that he was just finished and he didn't think much of it. And it was kind of like one of those decisions you make like on the spot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Grace Kim like eliminating herself out of the Battle Royal and just like leaving.
Speaking of podcasts, along with listening to us every week, you should go listen to the Jericho podcast, especially when he has guests on, because he had William Regal on the show.
Oh.
And that was an amazing episode. Amazing. It's funny because every time someone leaves WWE and goes to AEW, he does like an episode and interviews that person. So yeah, so he interviewed William Regal. It was pretty amazing. I want to talk about Jericho really quick. The Jericho Appreciation Society. So their first real promo, I believe, in the ring. And I don't know. I mean, I think you are right. I don't know who said this last week, but 2.0 paired with Jericho is going to be comedy gold.
Yep. I love their new names or their old names or whatever it was. It's all great. The fake out with Daniel Garcia being like, that's awesome.
My only issue during like Matt Parker's promo, like he was so passionate and screaming, I did not understand the thing he said. Like especially like when he like mentions his new name, all I got out of it was Danny Magic, but that's just because that was what he was called, I think in IWS or like in the Indies.
Wait. To be fair, it was Jericho who said what their names are now, what they're going by. And I wrote that on Twitter. I'm like, someone's got to repeat this because they went over my head. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was so many words. Like I didn't catch all
Daddy
of it.
Magic and then Gino. Anyway,
no, it's not Gino. It's an Italian name, but it's not Gino.
Well, like the Danny Magic, the Danny Magic I caught just because like it was a friend of mine that worked at Reiterate. He's like, well, that's what he was called like here in Montreal, like when he was wrestling here. I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
But Aaron, when Jericho said his full name, he actually used his French Quebecer name too. Did you notice that?
No, like I said, I did not understand the names that came out.
Yeah, neither did I. I swear, I tweeted that. I'm like, they need to repeat this.
Oh, it was Giovanni.
Giovanni's, but
it's Jeff Parker.
But Matt is
Daddy Magic Matt something.
Jean-Guy or something.
Yeah,
it was still. Anyways,
it was too many pronouns and stuff. I'm like,
they should really have a French Quebecer. Hello, Jean-Guy ici.
Oh my god,
it'd be so funny.
They've got Stu.
Right, true. They have Stu.
Speaking of which, I forgot to ask. So like Dan Lambert's a pretty rich guy, right? I mean, he makes money. So why does he like dress the way he dresses? Like, I'm not like snobbish where people need to dress like super high class, but like the guy walks out like he's wearing like what he would wear when he wakes up. That's too comfy, man. That's like people to go to a restaurant wearing sweatpants. I'm like, no. No, you don't do that. It's like wearing socks to bed. No.
Okay, sorry. Just to jump back in, I found the name so we can get it all settled.
Okay,
it's
good.
Big Magic, it's Daddy Magic Matt Minald.
Oh my gosh.
And Cool Hand Angelo Parker.
Oh my gosh. It's too much.
There's no Jean-Guy?
There's no Jean-Guy. It's Mathieu Minald.
Menard, that's it, like the duck, right? Like Menard means duck in French.
No, that's Mallard. Mallard?
Yeah, Mallard.
Yeah. Or canard.
Mallard is duck?
Canard means duck. It's with a C.
Yeah.
But
right.
Minald or Minard,
Okay, I'm so confused.
Cool Hand Angelo?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of Cool Hand Luke, one of my favorite movies of all time, starring my favorite actor of all time, Paul Newman. Love that movie. Okay, I still find that extremely confusing. I don't know if that's going to work moving forward.
Daddy Magic Matt Menard?
Yes.
Okay.
But how do you change his name to Danny? His name was Matt.
It's not Danny, it's Daddy.
Daddy Magic. Man, this is going to be more confusing than us saying Brian Danielson. Oh, shit! Oh my god, we have problems saying just like 2 freaking words of a person's name, but now they all have like 4.
Okay, can someone get Tony Khan on the phone? We got to talk.
Well, you know what it's a rib on.
Sports entertainment.
Indeed.
The weird thing is that he was like 2.0 is a stupid name that's made up by creatives in the back.
Yeah, bad creative.
And then I was like, okay, I thought that was their name from like the indie scene.
Oh, I guess not.
I don't know. Like, it has to be because their YouTube show's named 2.0. So are they going to like rename their YouTube show?
I don't think so.
No, it's called The Show. with Matt and Jeff.
Oh, it's not called The Show with 2.0? I thought that was the rhyme.
I mean, maybe, but it's literally just called The Show.
Okay.
For anyone listening to the podcast, I just want to say that Aaron made us wake up really early on a Sunday to record the show. So I'm still not awake.
Oh,
I think
under the bus.
I think we're all not awake. Like I'm sipping my coffee and we're trying to.
Too early to figure out what Chris Jericho is doing with the Jericho Appreciation Society.
It's too early to say names of people we don't understand. I can't even do it like in an evening after a full day.
All right, so we got to also just quickly talk about Thunder Rosa finally winning the championship over Britt Baker in the steel cage. So last week, again, we were talking about PPV matches versus TV matches, the main events, how they should book it, and my problem with them going to commercial breaks. And this is the thing about having, technically two big matches in one night, where you have to reserve a certain amount of like time for the Wardlow match and this match. You cut to a lot of commercials during the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match, and then you're kind of running out of time where the referee is scrambling to sort of like signal to the wrestlers that there's only like 1 minute left. Mm-hmm. And we did get somewhat of a celebration, and I love the oh my god, forgive me for not knowing what the proper terminology is, but the band that opened for Thunder Rosa.
Oh, the mariachi, the all lady mariachi. They were amazing.
Yeah. So it was a total show for Thunder Rosa. Yeah. Glad she won the championship. But man, they rushed it in too many commercial breaks. What did you think?
There was only really about one commercial break. I was surprised, actually. They timed the commercials very well, so that wasn't my problem. But yeah, it did feel rushed, unfortunately. And I mean, that's just the nature of it being on TV, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even on a pay-per-view, it could have gotten rushed depending on where it was in the lineup. But as far as the commercials, I thought they did a good job. Like, there was only like one, but again, it was relatively short for the type of match that it was, in my opinion.
So I watch a lot of WWE TV. It's like the number one channel I watch. It's amazing. They have like all of these matches from the past, right? They like right now they're doing like a spotlight on all the previous WrestleMania matches and the best of Stone Cold. Anyhow, just it's worth the money if you want to get it. Here in Canada, it's not available in the US, but I mention this because when I go back and look at the old matches, because like we think of the heyday of like Nitro and Raw, and you can tell when they go to commercial break, like now they clearly don't play the commercials, but there's always that sort of like quick fade with the sound and the image. And man, when they went to commercial break, I still think that AEW they haven't figured out how to do it properly. It wasn't bad this week, but when they used to go to commercial break, and they kind of still do this, but it's like the wrestler is selling like a bump. So they're on the floor, and we know not much is happening because, say, for example, Britt Baker is on the floor, she hurt her knee, and they go to commercial break. AEW needs to figure this out. Like, because like the whole thing about Tony Khan wanting us to watch picture in picture, like he said this once in an interview, he's like, no, I want people to keep watching and I want big things to happen in picture. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm on Mariko here. Like, I didn't have too many problems. My only issue was that it did feel very short. I was quite surprised, like, how fast they got through, like, that main event.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were running out of time.
Yeah, exactly.
They were. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. At the end, you can tell, like, they were freaking out. Mm-hmm. Well, the ref was freaking out. Because if I remember correctly, they were still outside the ring. And they needed to wrap things up because they still needed about 30 seconds, if not a minute, for her to hold the championship up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, I mean, like, it seems like I'm always complaining, but like, I think my concern here is valid because the show went on too long that they needed about a minute or two more for the main event. And the commercial breaks, like, I know it's unavoidable. You need commercials if you're doing it on TV. It's just a lot of times, and it wasn't so bad with this match, but I've noticed it with a lot of matches. Something big happens in picture, and I don't think that's good.
Yeah, I feel like they are doing that less, and I do feel like they deliberately structured things to have as few commercial breaks as possible during this match because they understood that, you know, people are going to miss big things and they don't want to do that. The stakes are just too high in this match.
Right. All right. And the last bit of big news we need to talk about. So kind of related to AEW, kind of not, but apparently Cody is officially signed with WWE. He will apparently be making his first appearance on WrestleMania weekend. I don't know if that means night 1, night 2, SmackDown. I have no idea if they consider Thursday night part of like WrestleMania weekend. I don't know. Friday night, I guess. I'm thinking maybe SmackDown. Who knows? But like, am I the only person in the world that thinks that this is like a big deal in the sense that it can really, really hurt AEW? Like,
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
someone who started the company, one of their
mhm.
biggest stars, one of the best guys on a microphone, put on 5 of the best matches in the company, and now he's moving to WWE, and he's most likely going to be a champion in wrestling at WrestleMania.
Right. I guess it's yeah, it could be like, a big deal for AEW just because like you look at depending on the way WWE is gonna book Cody Rhodes. I mean, like if they're gonna put him like the champion like in the next 3-4 months, let's say. I mean, like that's a lot of push for a dude that just arrived, and it's gonna be and the AEW wrestlers are gonna look at him like, hey, look at how Cody Rhodes is doing on the other side. He's making more money. He's getting a big push. I mean, why stay in AEW?
I think
'Cause
that's going to be a pretty small percentage of people at AEW,
Mhm.
honestly, because I mean, there's the people who've already been there,
Right, exactly.
and then there's the people who never wanted to go there in the first place, so much so that they ended up founding their own company.
But for the young talent, let's say like the
Yeah, no, there's
Wardlows, right?
definitely going to be people looking at this, but I
Hmm.
and I agree. I mean, it's a story. We need to talk about it. It has potential, but I think in the end, I think AEW is going to be the winner in all this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like AEW is going to go out of business. I'm just saying like I can see someone like Wardlow and MGF
Yeah.
leaving for WWE, and I
Yeah,
know
eventually. Although they've both recently said in comments that they're prepared to be at AEW as long as they're welcome to be there.
Hmm.
yeah, but I also heard Wardlow talk to Chris Van Fleet on his podcast and say that he's open to going to WWE.
Yeah, but the other thing is he knows that he still needs to get his value up before he can make that leap and hope to be successful in it. Like he needs to, Cody has the potential to be successful there because he already has like the clout.
Hmm.
Anyone new going there isn't going to have the same amount of clout as a Cody Rhodes.
Right.
And I think they all know that. So if anyone does make the leap, it's going to be in another like 3 to 4 years, in my opinion.
And not only that, but let's say like a WWE screws up the way
Yeah,
they book Cody Rhodes, that's gonna hurt them way more.
that's the other thing is I think a lot of people are just gonna really like all of us too are just kind of like waiting to see what happens. Like, obviously I wish Cody the best. I don't
Hmm.
wish ill on anyone really. So, I hope he's able to make this work for himself. But I mean, there's a reason that I watch AEW and do this podcast and I don't watch WWE.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just saying that there's some wrestlers, like Mariko said, who will never go to AEW just because Vince McMahon wouldn't want them, and there's some who would never return just because they had a bad experience. But there are some like who would go. MJF and Wardlow are a big concern because, in my opinion, they're two of the best and biggest stars in AEW.
Hmm.
But you could also see someone like Chris Jericho going back to WWE to finish off his career. It's
Yeah,
possible.
it's possible.
Even Adam Cole, like if they were to give Adam Cole like a contract and a promise that they would put him in the main event in the main roster, it is possible. But I don't think I think Adam Cole is too small for Vince McMahon. So
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's about it for this week. Not much to talk about, but it seems like it's all big news, especially the Cody Rhodes news. So I will say this, though. I still do watch WWE. My big problem with WWE is that it's too long, Raw. But I'm going to be watching on Friday and Monday. I'm going to be watching because I want to see if Cody Rhodes appears, and I'm going to be watching WrestleMania. So
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be watching the highlights of all that stuff because I am curious. Word is it's probably going to be Raw because they want him in a program with Seth Rollins, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
Oh my God, Seth Rollins, he's the best. He's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean that's
Love him.
It's another one of wrestlers that I like to watch is Seth Rollins, but
I have like a long list of wrestlers that I would want to steal from WWE.
Of
like,
course.
yeah,
I don't think Seth Rollins would work in AEW. I just don't see him fitting. But like,
You
I
don't
think of
think?
guys like
we got to save this for like a main event or something.
Yeah. All right, that's it for this week.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. But when we get back, we are going to be discussing the main event, wrestling video games. What do we want out of the AEW video game?
My thanks goes to each and every one of you for being there regardless of the scenario. My thanks goes to AEW for needing, for asking for the limitless one to come back to this beautiful sport known as pro wrestling. I'm not done yet. My thanks goes to Swerve for coming down here because I can barely breathe. I got my ass kicked with a boombox, and my man came in with the chair save. Arigato. A congratulations go out to one Miss Thunder Rosa. And because I know people are waiting on me and tired of me talking, I have one last thanks, and that is to thank you.
And we're back on Talk AEW for the main event. We are talking wrestling video games. So AEW is coming out with their very first game. We've got some more teases and previews, but also recently WWE released their 2K22. I know Ricky's been playing that a lot. Why don't you start us off, Rick?
Oh man, like I feel really guilty because I actually spent like the entire day yesterday playing this game. Like I've been playing it all week, but I was like, you know what? I haven't actually just like I needed to relax. I've been working so much. I'm just gonna play video games, and I played like from like 3 to like midnight. It was like I felt bad. Like I felt guilty.
A long. What the heck, man?
It was amazing though. The game's amazing. Like I'm a huge fan of the THQ games from the 64 days, the N64.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
WCW NWO Revenge, and there was WrestleMania. What was it? 2000s.
Yep.
The SmackDown. I think it was WWE SmackDown, or no, WWE WrestleMania 2000. I think was amazing too. Anyhow, the wrestling games that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s were just like incredible. Mm-hmm. And that was when I started to like really get into like WCW, and they had like, you know, La Parka and Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho and Saturn and Disco Inferno and Buff Bagwell and Big Papa Pump. You know, the roster was incredible for that WCW NWO Revenge game. And then the WWE games were great too, right?
Yep.
So, you know, here we are in 2022. I was going to say 2020 because the pandemic really felt like it never happened.
Yeah, it does feel like those 2 years went to a black hole somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like, you know, we have a game coming out hopefully soon for AEW, and this new game gets dropped. And, they took 2 years off, which I think like really helped because the last game was a complete mess. I didn't buy it, thank God, but I heard the horror stories about the glitches.
Oh yeah, watching video. If you ever want to just like laugh your butt off, just like go on YouTube and search 2K 2019 or 2020 glitches or whatever it was. But oh goodness, yeah, good
This
times.
game is amazing, and so I was just like, I was thinking about like, what would I want in the AEW game? And I know that the team they have isn't as big as the team that works on 2K, clearly. But I don't know, like
the team that did previous
originals.
Yeah, the originals.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I wanted to know like, what would you want in the game? And just to give you a quick idea of like some of the cool stuff in this game, which you see in all the 2K games now. They have like a story mode, like a My Career mode. They have like a My GM mode in which like you basically play the GM.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Tony Khan should play because it might he might learn a thing or two about booking. I'm not even joking.
Well, I mean, AEW has their own GM game. It's just on mobile.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which we should actually try. But yeah, like you need to do rematches. If you don't do rematches, you're not going to get you're not going to score high in this game. So anyhow, I mean, like clearly we're going to want a roster, like a really, really amazing roster. But I hope like along with like the 100+ wrestlers, which I don't know if you're going to be able to include all 100+ wrestlers, but I mean, I want like different costumes. Like I guess I'll start there.
Like they should put those in. They probably will be as additional cosmetics because that's just smart business. I'm sorry.
That's where we're at.
I'll pay for it. I don't care.
Exactly, like $1 here or $2 for some great cosmetics. Yeah, I mean that's just smart to put in there because it's not like a ton of time and money to make them, but like the returns you get from that kind of stuff. I work in the video game industry. My husband also works in the video game industry on a game that makes most of their money from cosmetics. So,
yeah. Listen, I don't have a problem with a company charging you extra for, say, like the outfits that the wrestlers wear because it's not actually
exactly
like
you don't want to have to pay for like power-ups or things that are like critical to the game, but for cosmetic things that are purely for aesthetics, like I don't know, go off.
Yeah, I've always said like when it comes to these DLC cosmetics and stuff, I'm like, if you love the game and you want, if you're wondering like if the price is worth it, if you love the game, like show your support to developers and so they can bring out more content, just do it.
So what else do we want to see? I mean, I got like a long list, but I want to know what you guys want to see.
I mean, what I want to see a fun like the My GM mode, right? Because that's another thing that I used to love growing up with these wrestling games was the My GM mode and like booking your own matches, setting up your own feuds, like that stuff I really love growing up in wrestling games.
I love it. That is what I did yesterday. I played My GM mode, and so I chose like the 52 weeks. So you start just after WrestleMania, and then like you go all the way to WrestleMania. And here's the thing. So I did the Jake the Snake Roberts versus Stone Cold Steve Austin feud, which led to the Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin feud. So I was like scoring big time with my ratings. But the funny thing was, so I ended WrestleMania, like my GM mode ended with Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bret Hart won, so he defended the championship. So he was my champion at the end of this like long 52-week my MGM career thing that I did. But every time the game would be in Montreal, for whatever reason, it decided that the Hitman was also injured. So I never got to do my Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels match. I was so pissed off. Yeah. 3 times in Montreal, and 3 times Hitman was injured. I love the My GM mode. I like the My GM mode in this game was kind of like lacking. Like you couldn't do tag team championships, for example. So I don't know if like it depends on the resources. Like if they're gonna do a My MGM mode, but it kind of feels like that would be something that's easy to do because it's mostly a lot of text.
Yeah,
and you just choose the match you want to play.
Well, and they already have like mechanics set up for the digital game, so like the economy and stuff of it is already kind of built. So it feels like it should be relatively easy to implement that sort of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
The number one most important thing is, well, clearly the gameplay. Like the game's got to be smooth, like no glitches. But it's also the roster. Like if you got like the Jungle Boys and the MJFs and the Young Bucks and the Hardys, like think about the dream matches. The create a wrestler mode is sort of really not important, but it's something people are going to want because then you can go online and people can create wrestlers from the past or different promotions and you could just upload them or download them, whatever.
Yeah.
Download them, upload them.
I think that's another thing too, is like to create a wrestler. Like I hope that it's like deep and, well, I wouldn't say deep because like I feel like the game should be accessible to everyone. But
yeah, we're not like Fire Pro or anything.
yeah,
like
exactly,
that.
right? But I think like fun customization options. That's how I'll say it. That's another thing.
Well, the old games, they had like these sort of like pre-made like costumes, and you could tell that they were pre-made by the creators because they wanted you to make, say, for example, Dusty Rhodes when he wore like the polka dots, right? Or you can create like King Kong Bundy or Andre the Giant. Like they had specific costumes that you could just like choose, and you just had to spend a few minutes, like 15-20 minutes, you can create these like classic wrestlers. They can have some pre-made stuff. I don't know, we'll see, but like that is one thing I spent way too much time doing as a kid. Like my nephew and I, not my nephew, my cousin and I, we used to create like all of these. We had a league. We had an Excel sheet. We used to keep track of who won. It was crazy. This is when I was younger.
Yeah.
And we had so many wrestlers we used to create. Like, especially in the WCW games, like we would create all the WWE wrestlers, past and present, and we would have this gigantic roster. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me too. Like with me and my cousin, we used to create all kind of like these out of the world type of wrestlers and bring them into like the main roster, and then make like storylines with them, create feuds.
You know what? I'm getting confused. It was WrestleMania 2000 that allowed us to do the creations, and that's why we started playing that game more so than the N64 games, WCW NWO Revenge, because of the creator wrestler mode. So we had like a bigger roster to choose from.
Yeah. I want to add like another thing about the gameplay too. It's like what I'm looking for in the gameplay is a nice balance between arcadey and simulation, maybe, because I know like in the previous like WWE 2K games, a lot of like they've gone like very heavy handed on like the simulation of like the in-ring mechanics and all that, and a lot of people didn't like it. But like I feel like for the AEW game, they gotta like try and like I guess like find the right balance. I would prefer it more arcadey, but because like again, if we're gonna talk about like how it was in the N64 days, and like Kenny Omega alluded a lot of times in like one video introducing like the AEW video game, like he kept alluding back to like the WWE or WrestleMania 2000 games. Like I remember this game, but and yeah, like I think like more arcadey would be good.
Yeah, I agree. Like the gameplay in 2K22 is really amazing. It feels very realistic, but it also feels like like arcadey, I guess is the word you would use.
Yeah, I mean like you need to have it just for accessibility purposes, right? You want as many people to be able to play it,
Yeah, like I love there are things that will frustrate me. Like if you try to pick up a table, like sometimes it picks up the table and sometimes it doesn't. Like I'm pressing the right button, but it's not working. But for the most part, like when you do your finishers in this specific game, talking about 2K22, it's just basically R2 and X, I think, or R2 and like square. So it's always R2 and one of the 3 or 4 buttons on the PlayStation controller. So yeah, like. The controls are going to be like crucial. Like these are the things. Clearly, we're going to want like a game that functions well and there's no glitches. But the add-ons, like like the roster, the costumes, the entrance music, the arenas. Like,
Taunts.
I mean, they're going to for sure have. Sorry,
taunts.
Taunts.
Oh
yes,
taunts.
yes.
Oh, you know what I would love to somehow import your own custom music, but I don't know how.
Ugh.
I mean, who used to do it? WWE Raw 2 on the Xbox. You used to be able to do that. You would actually be able to like rip MP3 CDs and import them to the game and like put your own like. So like even if like the wrestlers like music was not accurate, I could just get an MP3 file of the actual wrestler's music and like put it into the game. But
Yeah, for sure. You can create like DX and get the original DX song, and
right,
you have like Shawn Michaels and Triple H invading AEW with X Pac and
well
like the whole click.
that and at the time like I can't remember. I don't think the NWO was a thing, but you can create the NWO. They had the assets of like making like the black and white screen, and the fact that you can put your own MP3 in there. They would actually come out with the NWO music. So that was.
I don't think we're gonna get that. It would be amazing, but I just feel like it's too much of a small team. Maybe in a
Right.
sequel.
Well, like I feel like for legal purposes too. I don't know if that they could do that anymore. Like just like.
But I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not an entertainment lawyer,
Right.
but like, if me the person who buys the game is uploading a song to the game,
And you own that song? Well,
it's on me. It's
Yeah.
my responsibility.
That's true.
Like, yeah, I don't know, but this is not going to happen because I think it's too much of a small team, and they're most likely going to want to make a bigger and better game moving forward.
Mhm.
But the one thing that annoys me about the 2K games, be it NBA 2K or WWE 2K, is they want you to buy a game every year.
Yeah.
And I would prefer they just upgrade the game every year, like Mario Kart or something. Like every year they release like new tracks and new DLC. But I think the reason why it's an issue is because you're actually using like characters based on real people.
Mhm.
So you can't have this ongoing game because you would have to continue paying, I guess, the wrestlers. So you're not releasing a game every year. I think that's the issue.
Yeah,
right?
I mean you're paying them for their likeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be cool because the thing is, it's like, here's the thing. If I put down like $80, $90 on a wrestling game
Mhm.
and I get like 100, 200, 300 hours of like fun playing the game, that to me is worth the price of the game.
Mhm.
Like, I go to a movie and I pay $20 to see a movie and it lasts like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I pay like $90 for a wrestling game and it lasts like 1,000 hours. So like I'm getting more bang for my
Yeah,
buck,
exactly.
right? Yeah, so I don't mind buying the game every year. What I don't like, though, is every year the roster changes. And so every year there's someone I'm missing. It's like, oh, we no longer have Jeff Hardy because he's in another game, right? Like, thank God Jeff Hardy's in this game. And, we got, like, classic wrestlers like, Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is, like, my number one go-to guy.
Mhm.
But it's going to suck. Like, imagine you get the game, and you get Cody Rhodes, and then the game comes out for 2023 or 2024, and there's no Cody. And you want to play with Cody Rhodes.
Well, I'm sure
That's what I hate.
I'm sure the assets are going to be there. You're going to be able to create your own Cody Rhodes minus the and you will be able to take off the tattoo off his neck. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, aren't we also supposed to be getting Owen Hart in this game? Speaking of rosters.
Oh my God, that would be amazing because like the thing about okay, so I have a theory, by the way. So the thing about WWE 2K is you can play with the Hart Foundation. So Jim is there,
Okay.
Brett is there, and even Natalia is there. They don't have Davey Boy Smith, but anyways, but there's no Owen, right? Because they're never gonna let WWE use Owen's name ever again.
Mhm.
So you would have to create him, and it sucks. But anyhow, I heard a rumor, and I should have talked about this in the opening segment, that Bret the Hitman Hart is going to be working with AEW. This is just a rumor I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
It wouldn't be the first.
With FTR?
Yeah, I've heard of that rumor too.
Oh, you heard it
That's
too?
interesting. That's very interesting.
I think it would be interesting, right? Because they talk about like how they want to build a legacy. I mean, who else would you want to build a legacy with than like, the name Hart?
Yeah.
Because there was like, I don't know what happened. I heard this in passing. It was something to do with the promo they cut when they fired
Tully.
Tully.
Mhm.
there was something in the background that led people to believe that they were alluding to Bret the Hitman Hart.
Was it like Electric Pink or something? Or
Yeah, like something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it
Interesting.
could be coincidence, but we both know that in AEW there's always like breadcrumb trails being left around. So I mean, it'd be interesting.
So it's going to be like Owen Hart's going to be like the unlockable character. Like you finish a story mode or career mode and you unlock Owen Hart. Like that would be cool. That would be amazing.
I think it's going to be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool.
Do you think that Cody would be like the weakest character in the game?
Overall stats 67, 66? I don't know.
Well, the way 2K works is they have the popularity statistic and the stamina statistic,
That's
right?
it. Popularity statistic, yes.
Yeah. Well, so the stamina, like if it's below like 40, means your wrestler can get injured. You can choose if you want blood or no blood.
Mm-hmm.
And if the popularity is the most like kind of like crucial thing to look at, because that is how you get sort of like, especially when you play my GM mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how you build your specials and your finishers and your signature moves. I mean, I'm like, I cannot wait for this game. Like, I hope to God it's going to be good. And I don't think Kenny Omega is going to let them release a game that's unfinished.
Oh, of course not.
No, of course not. Well, yeah.
No.
I mean, Kenny Omega, if anything, like he's we've all seen it. He's a big like gaming fan, right? So
he's a huge gamer and the history of games, and I mean, it's why they're working with the company they're working with. Also, I did not know this until recently, because I don't know if you noticed, but Aubrey Edwards is also involved quite a bit in AEW games.
Yep.
She comes from a gaming background or a game production background, actually.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she worked in the games industry for quite a long time in Seattle.
That would make sense.
Yeah, so that's part of why she's involved. I learned that recently. I thought that was just super cool.
I wonder if she worked for Nintendo.
I think it was probably Microsoft.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. Microsoft has an office in Seattle because Nintendo is in Washington, which is, there, but no,
it's Linwood or something. It's the Seattle area. Like Nintendo's there too. They're all in the same sort of area, but yeah. I do know the company she worked with because she worked on Scribblenauts.
Oh,
so it was a smaller company, but they're owned by Warner.
I love Scribblenauts. That was such a fun.
Yeah, because my husband those were some of the first projects he worked on when he was over there. But anyways.
So who do you want to see in the cover? If there's multiple covers, you get to choose.
Kenny Omega.
Yeah, it's got to be Kenny.
Well, here's the thing. There's too many to choose from. So I would choose 3 covers with 3 different pairs of people. So Kenny Omega, okay, I get it, but it could be like the Elites.
Yeah, that was the other. Oh, that's a good idea too. Or maybe the 4 pillars on the back or something, and
yeah.
I think that they would need to put the WWE guys like Jericho and Hardy's on the cover. It'll just pop and turn it like. It'll grab people's attention who maybe do not watch AEW.
You think? I mean, at this
point, Aaron, if you could choose between 3 and 4 covers, like why not? Why not have the Kenny Omega, the 4 pillars, and the quote unquote like popular wrestlers around the world like Jericho? I think Jericho should be on a cover by himself, personally.
If it's just to get the attention of like WWE fans, I mean, I don't know. It's just because it's like anyone who's aware of like the AEW video game at this point, anyone who's looking to buy into the AEW video game must know about the
fan of AEW.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but the thing is, look, if you release an AEW video game, like a wrestling game, and it's really good and gets a lot of great reviews, anyone that likes wrestling games, regardless if they watch AEW or not, is going to check it out and most likely play it and might become an AEW fan. That is how a lot of people I know, like my cousin, for example, became a fan of WCW because of the old WCW games. He had no idea who Rey Mysterio Jr. was or La Parka or Eddie Guerrero. He played those games, got interested in the characters, and started watching wrestling. So it is sort of like a gateway for people to get interested in AEW. But like, I think it's a smart marketing strategy to have 3 or 4 options to choose from the cover.
Yeah.
I think having Jericho on a cover is smart. Kenny Omega is clearly smart, especially for your worldwide audience.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
you know,
I was
it
about
would
to
be
say,
nice.
like, usually with these, like, they might do different covers for different regions and stuff. Like, obviously in Japan, like, you put the lead on the cover, like, no question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the like the 4 pillars would really speak to anyone outside of hardcore AEW fans, but I don't see them actually doing it. I see it being like Jericho, Kenny, and you know, maybe Cody, but he left, so I guess forget about Cody.
Yeah, forget about
Yeah,
Cody.
forget about Cody.
That's yeah.
What a traitor.
Money talks.
Yo, I personally am so excited to see Cody Rhodes in WWE. Like, this has been one of the biggest wrestling stories outside of like some really sad news, like someone dies in like the longest
That's
time.
true.
Yeah. I mean that is the thing with this whole like Cody Rhodes situation, right? It's like it just got not in a long time, but like there's just this buzz on, you know, just the wrestling circuit. You know, you're just like, wow.
They could include it in the story mode, like Cody Rhodes leaves AEW. We need a new rising star. Are you up for the challenge? The rules: you're not allowed neck tattoos. You're not allowed bringing your wife to work. There's so many things they could do. They could have an entire storyline where like the whole purpose is to beat up Cody Rhodes.
Oh my gosh. For leaving AEW or
no, but that just makes his martyr meter spike, and then you're in trouble.
They should add that into the gameplay. If there's like Cody Rhodes, he's got a special meter called the martyr meter. Once it fills up, he gets the whole crowd to pity him.
At the end of the story mode, he rises to the skies like Jesus.
Oh my god.
In the Cody Vader.
Oh my gosh.
And he has his dog. What's his dog's name? Staring at him.
I don't know.
I forget the name of his dog.
I don't.
It's got a. Because he's got a good name too. Damn it!
I can't remember.
Know this.
Well, there's one last thing I want to add about like. It's like a what?
I knew it would come to me.
Sir, what?
Pharaoh.
Oh,
the
Pharaoh.
name of the dog.
Wow, he named his dog Pharaoh. Surprise. Shocker.
Yeah. So I just want to add one more thing when it comes to like the gameplay of AEW, aside from like the martyr meter. That sounds like a great idea though. It's really like what I'm hoping for is a very simple, fluid, like tag team like gameplay, because like
true.
Yeah, because like if you watch, if we're able to emulate the cool stuff that we see on TV, like, you know, like how like they have like those combination moves, like move after move, like if they could somehow like make that work in the AEW video game, I'd be pretty happy also.
Or doing something where like you chain moves or
yeah
something.
exactly something like that, and not make it too complicated. So that's what I'd hope for.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because sorry. Well, no, because AEW is known for their tag team wrestling, so having that be a feature in the video game would make a lot of sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you would need your specialty matches like the ladder match, TLC, the cage match. You can't do Hell in a Cell, but you could do Blood and Guts.
Yeah, they'll do Blood and Guts.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
You think there's no way they're going to do Blood and Guts?
No?
Like, how are they going to do it?
I'm sure they could do it.
I don't see. I mean, if you could do Hell in a Cell, why can't you do Blood and Guts?
I mean, I don't.
Same thing, just 2 rings.
Yeah, it's 2 rings in a cage.
If you have a bigger team, that would be super ambitious for this team to do Blood and Guts. I would be shocked if they had Blood and Guts.
I don't think so. You know what? I'm wondering. I just thought of it now. Like, would they have a Stadium Stampede mode?
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking. We're like, okay, if we're going with like specific AEW stipulations, how about an Arcade Anarchy match? I mean,
well, of course. I mean, I feel like, you know, that has to be in there.
I think we're dreaming too big. Yeah, we're gonna be like disappointed when the game comes out. We're not gonna get like these things.
I have a feeling. Yeah, I do worry that it might end up being like too technical, just because of the people involved. But I think also there's going to be enough people involved that are like, we need to broaden the audience for this. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but they need like I think the Stadium Stampede, the Blood and Guts, and even like backstage is like asking a lot. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I do think like you need your championships. You need the TNT championship, or call it the TV title, whatever you call it. The world title, the women's title, and you're gonna need your stage for a double or nothing, all out, Revolution, and in Full Gear.
Oh, and another mode they can add: create a belt mode. They used to have that in old wrestling games. I don't know if they have it in 2K.
I've never used it.
You know what? I don't even know if I've ever used it too, but I know it was a mode. So
they're gonna have the big Sonic Ring match.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna have a ladder match, you might as well add the Sonic Ring.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing I'll say is, in terms of like the add-ons, is the Jacksonville, Florida, Daly's.
Oh,
place.
Daly's place. Yeah. Gotta have that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and of course, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone and Excalibur. I don't know if they're gonna have like Big Show and Mark Henry, maybe, but like that's the thing. Are we gonna get Rampage and Dynamite and Evolution? And like, I don't think so. Like, it'll probably just be Ramp, because then if they don't include Evolution, and what do you do with Paul White and Mark Henry?
You mean
Elevation? Unless it's like part of like the kind of career mode where like you start on Dark and then you do Elevation, and then you do Rampage, and then you do Dynamite. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think that can be the thing too.
Tony Khan, I wonder if he's going to be in the game.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he puts himself in that video game.
He walks out, he's all like super hyper, like he just drank way too much caffeine.
Yeah,
his eyes
just
are like
chugged 6
bugged.
Monsters.
Yeah, he's twitching.
Oh, he runs out.
I have a big announcement for you. That's how the game opens. I have like the biggest announcement ever.
Oh my gosh.
In the career mode, like every 4 to 8 weeks, there's like a big announcement from from Tony Khan. It's like someone new comes to AEW.
Oh my gosh.
I kind of need that now. All right.
I don't know. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just quickly trying to think about the new game, the 2K game, if there's anything missing. There is this one really cool thing they do, and I don't really need it. But there's like a sort of like a career mode for Rey Mysterio Jr. specifically. Mm-hmm. And so they have like these video edits, like montages and interviews that they have with Rey Mysterio, like in actual real life. They interviewed him, and he talks about I think it's like his 10 best matches. And so like the first one you do is Halloween Havoc, him versus Eddie Guerrero, which put him on the map, right? Mm-hmm. That was like the match that put Rey Mysterio on the map. And so you get to replay the match. And so it starts off with like you get the video package, Rey Mysterio's interview. He talks about the match. Then the match starts. You actually play Rey Mysterio versus Eddie. And then like they have objectives. Like you have to pull certain moves. And if you do the specific moves, it fades into like in the middle of gameplay. It's so cool. It fades into like the actual like footage of the match from WCW. So like you pull a move, like let's say you do a Hurricane, mm-hmm. and then like it'll fade into like the real footage. It's amazing. And then all of a sudden you're like watching the match from WCW Nitro, and you see it like about a minute or two of the match, and then it fades back into the gameplay, and you continue to match. It's incredible. It's not like something that I think is needed. Like it's something that's really cool, but they choose a specific wrestler, right? And so the game, it's centered around him. Like that's the theme. And so it's Rey Mysterio. So they could do it for like Kenny Omega, for example, or Jericho. I would assume it's going to be Omega because he's the one working on the game. Mm-hmm. But that would be kind of cool. Imagine but I mean, Tony Khan's got a lot of money, but he's not really involved in the making of the game. It's not his company. But can you imagine being able to play like classic matches like Kenny Omega from like New Japan, for example? Like,
Oh my god. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like it would certainly be fun if you had like the ability to make that, having those assets. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah,
I cannot wait for this game.
still no announced date or release date yet. So
Wait till it's done.
mm-hmm.
It'll be ready when it's ready.
Isn't that what Kenny says all the time? It'll be ready when it's ready.
That's right.
And do not forget that if they get it right the first time, it's easier the second time because they're basically working with the same sort of, I'm not a game developer, the same code, whatever. They have the groundwork.
Yeah, like I'm assuming they're going to have to build their own engine for this. So once you have that down, that is just a matter of tweaking and upgrading and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The first wrestler I'm going to play with is going to be Darby Allin.
Yeah, not surprised. And then you're gonna make him like world champion in that same day.
No. I like my slow builds. I like my storylines.
All right. On that note, I think we are going to call it a day. I would very much like to thank all of you out there in podcast land for listening. Reminder, if you want to help us grow this tiny little podcast, we are an indie podcast. We don't have a network or sponsors or anything like that. So your support means the world to us. Like, review, subscribe, wherever you listen. And I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos.
No problemo.
And of course, the Ravishing Ricky D.
And just a reminder, you can find the podcast over at talkaew.net. It is the sister site of Goombastomp.com and tiltmagazine.net. Once again, talkaew.net. You can find the podcast. You can listen to the podcast everywhere from iTunes to Spotify to Amazon to, I don't know, everywhere. Podbean, YouTube. We're on YouTube. But do follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. It is Talk AEW Podcast.
Goodbye.
You know it's all about the